And we're here. Hello. 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 Hello.
Hey.
Hey. And there's the YouTube chat as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna not choose top chat. I'm gonna do live chat.
Okay, let me balance you a little bit, Carla, because you're a little bit loud. Can you say something?
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying something.
Okay, this is better. This is good.
Lulu.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Okay.
Good.
Is
Yes.
also sexy music?
I think so. I went for lo-fi and chill beats today.
Oh.
Yeah. And there's a counter below you, Carl. There's a counter, and those are the days left, hours and minutes, until the Founders campaign goes live for the 6-stage EV2.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Okay.
Super interactive.
I don't see the counter though.
You don't?
For some reason. Or maybe this is like. Wait, is this not the live stream? I can't really see the live stream on YouTube.
Okay, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Anyway, fantastic. I'm happy that everybody's here. And how long has it been? I mean, the two most fun people from Wooting in the same live stream. How is that possible?
Oh, now it's the most fun people. Okay.
What else?
Okay. I'll take that. Yeah, I know, right? We haven't done a live stream for like a very, very long time.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think we were looking back. I think was it the Founders podcast thing? Was that the last time we've been on the camera together?
Could be.
Yeah, it was not even only the two of us.
No. But yes, we can see chat. Well, at least I can see chat. I hope Calder can do too.
Yeah. Yeah, now I can see the actual chat. Yeah. Okay, I think there was like an artifact live stream or something that never went live.
Oh yeah,
somewhere.
That could be
on our channel.
That could be. Okay, good. Yeah. So today let's discuss the 6-stage EV2 because I think yesterday on an email and then a blog post and just now on Discord we shared a bunch of information. At least I think a lot of product information was already there, but not like, hey, what's the time for the Founders campaign? Exact times, right? The end date for it, the pricing of the 6-stage EV2, what models you can get, and even the campaign perks is what we shared yesterday as well. Do we like it? Do you guys like it? So maybe for everybody who isn't aware or just watches this on YouTube and is totally unknown, there is a blog post that I will share in the chat just now, and that contains all the information. Let me check that I have the right one.
We see some interesting questions.
Yes. So yeah, good. So in that blog post you can find everything related to the 6-stage EV2 Founders campaign, and just to quickly go over it, the Founders campaign goes live next Thursday at 3 in the afternoon Dutch time. That's 7 in the morning PDT and 10 in the evening in Taiwan, Taipei time. The prices range from $180 up until $240, depending on what model you're getting. There's like a plastic model, aluminum version, and there's a split, non-split spacebar version. And it also depends on where you live in the world, what taxes and what currency will be charged with. And then the module, you can get that for $140. And then shipping timeline, at least the plan is that we have a bunch of keyboards in stock early December. So a lot of things that will be ordered early on during the Founders campaign is something we can deliver in December already. But, there's just a limited amount of stock. And then the big rest of all the keyboards come into a warehouse, I guess like end of January, early February. And that's when most of the other keyboards will be shipped, except for the plastic version. That takes a lot longer. I think the plastic version, we set it on April, right, Calder?
Well, I'll just go with your April, because then we can set expectations a bit nicer then.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that's a very safe estimate. April. Yes. Good. And now
We
let's.
the intention is that we have it in March, but I'm a little bit out of the loop in the last month with the plastic one, because we're in the mold phase. So kind of I can share a bit more about this. There's actually quite a thing with the mold phase. We so when you open up a mold, a plastic injection mold, you do a trowel injection. So the mold is basically a big block of metal that inside has a cavity. Plastic gets injected into the cavity, and the cavity is then like the shape of the keyboard. So the mold opens up, and then you have like the keyboard case shape. Now, when you just finish making the mold, you do a first injection shot. It's called T0, trowel shot 0. And what comes out of the mold is then your plastic case. Wow, great, right? But then you look on the surface, and you can find all these imperfections. Like you have like flow marks, which is basically plastic that didn't equally dry. So you can kind of see like a swirl, or you can kind of see like smudges on the plastic surface. Maybe you'll see a parting line very clearly somewhere, or maybe some of the cavity didn't get fully filled up, so it's kind of missing something somewhere. So unlike, I think this is now, let's say the ID that is now working on the 60H V2 plastic case is called Wiz. And he has thankfully for everyone, a very high standard. We're now at T5 of trowel injecting, because still not happy with the end result. And that's taking a bit longer with the injection molding. But the final part, yeah, I guess if you're a layman, maybe you would not notice it much, but if you look closely, you can see there's a lot more refinement in the whole case. It's becoming really nice. Yeah. So the thing that is that once that is approved, then we have a more clear picture, and we can go immediately into production. But already preparations have been made in terms of all the other materials. It's just the case. Yeah.
Okay. And
the wing, right? But the wing was pretty easy.
And why are we so late with making a plastic version? I think that's also an interesting question.
Honestly, the goal was from the start to only do a metal case 60H V2. Like when we did our whole development of the 8HE and the zinc case, it was kind of like an opening towards saying, okay, let's try to do more and more with metal overall. But as we were going through the development, we discovered a couple of things, and also had to face a reality. Is that first thing is a bit of a reality, I guess, is that when it comes to metal overall, and tariffs, duties and tariffs, and fluctuation of the pricing for metal is quite dangerous. So especially in the US, for example, when Trump introduced all those tariffs, aluminum is like also one of these things. And if they pick out the keyboard and they say, well, it has aluminum in there, we have to specify the amount and then pay a high duty over the aluminum specifically, won't be too great, would make the product already very expensive. So that was one aspect of it. The second one was during development. We're trying to hit a certain quality bar that was increasing as we were learning more, also from the 8HE. And I mean, I guess the best example of that is the sweat test, right? With what we're facing with the black zinc 8HE black zinc case, where the coating could drop off for some users based on their sweaty hands. And we don't want to run into those kind of things, so we want to set the bar a bit higher. So that's one thing. The other thing was also when we're using certain production methods to make the metal case, we want to anodize the case and not paint the case, but then the anodization is not possible, or it doesn't look as good. And it just made it like, okay, well, there's no way of doing this at the level that we want to do it while still keeping it a little bit more affordable. So we might as well break it up in two. So we decided later in our development, okay, let's also make a plastic case version and still retain a plastic case as well. And kind of also changed my future perspective, my future thoughts about what we're going to do keyboard wise. Probably always will have some type of plastic version and a metal version. And I'll just throw like one last piece in there is that we're trying to kind of divide between, let's say, keeping our price between 150 and 200, and then the other segment being 200 and above. And if we can do like a very sweet 200, that was the original idea, very sweet 200, 190 something, and then metal, right? It would be very nice, but just end of the day, it's not really possible. So then it's better to just split them into two segments. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Let's go through some questions because there are some very interesting ones. Are we going to discontinue the 60HE Plus once the 60HE V2 launches? And the simple answer is yes. The more complex answer is not soon, because we still have some stock left. We'll continue to sell it, and we will also continue to support it for years to come. So, but yeah, the long-term plan is that the 60HE V2 will replace the 60HE Plus. Yes. And somebody said like, oh, should I get the V2 or wait for the V2 or get the V1? My keyboard is dying out or I'm on a budget. It's all something I saw. And one thing that's now very cool that we can say since the past few weeks, if you're on a budget and you want to get a Wooting keyboard, you should check out our refurbishment store. Because there are some nice 60HEs looking for a new owner.
It's called the Respawn Store.
Oh yeah, Respawn Store, yeah. Well, I shared a link wooting.io/outlet to make it even more confusing.
Oh my God, what the hell? I never noticed. What's up with the... Okay.
Anyway,
yeah.
But anyway, these are fantastic Wooting products that either have been refurbished or returned, or are some relics that have been discontinued. But there are just some nice keyboards that you can snag for a nice price. So if you're on a budget and you want to get a Wooting keyboard, that's definitely the way to go. Then there was a question: what's included in the ISO? Sorry, you want to say something?
Oh, I just see well, I guess we'll get into the spacebar specifically, so I'll just keep it to that moment. Okay. Split spacebar, complete spacebar, and what to expect from keycap sets. So yeah. You continue on ISO.
Sure. What options are we going to have for the ISO 60HE V2 at launch, except for the split spacebar? So there will be a regular spacebar and a split spacebar version, and you can get the keyboard in black or in black aluminum, so anodized. You can get it in black ABS plastic. All the ISO models don't come with keycap, so the keyboard is a little bit cheaper for ISO, but you can, in the configurator, you could choose a keycap set. And I think PBT wise, we support Germany, Nordics, UK, French, top of my mind, and then we have some ISO, some ABS keycaps as well, but not all ABS keycaps. Well, I don't think the ABS keycaps will fit the split spacebar version, only the PBT keycaps.
No, with the split spacebar, it does get a little bit difficult to communicate which set does or doesn't have a split spacebar inside. But right now, only our PBT keycaps have the split spacebar inside. So regardless of the language you get of our Wooting PBT keycaps, it has split spacebar inside.
Yeah.
And but we don't have it for the ABS keycaps.
No, but in a configurator, if you choose split version...
And also the Optimum keycaps don't have the split spacebar, because I saw that one coming by a few times.
Yeah, but in general, we made it simple, like all the keycaps that are compatible with split. So if you go through the configurator and you choose the split version, then you can only see keycaps that are available with the split version. So it's also, whatever we show there is always compatible. Yeah.
Maybe it is fun to know though that if the split spacebar is not included in the set, you can always, from any keycap set, use the left shift and right shift on an ANSI key from an ANSI from an ANSI layout. You can always use the left and the right shift. Those have the same sizes as the split space bars, and you can pop them on the split space bar place, and then in that way you don't need to have, you're not going to be like, oh, only Wooting has this specific split space bar situation. You can just use any left or right shift on an ANSI model.
Good.
Of course, the shape of a shift is a bit different from a spacebar shape, but it has its own perk. It's pretty nice, but it's a different style of playing. It can be really nice depending on what kind of what you want to use it for. So, like you have in Apex Pro, for example, there's the crouch jumping. So you want to press spacebar and maybe I think it is either a C key for most people at the same time at the same time. But because a spacebar is shaped like this, so because it's so rounded, your thumb placement with the C will not be as accurate. But with a shift key, it is kind of like there's a slope, so it's kind of like this, and you have an edge here on the top. So it's actually easier to feel and lean your thumb on that edge, and then also press C. And otherwise, you can be really pro, and then you just flip around the shift, and then you get it like a ramp up instead. That's also possible. It's very similar to like a reverse spacebar, where you also flip around the spacebar, and then you have a bit of a slope with your spacebar.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy the split spacebar. So I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 6 the last few weeks, and I recently took out the 6-stage EV2 with the split spacebar, and it's so nice that on the center key I have like the map, which is normally bound to the M key, so you have it at your thumb. And my left spacebar is my normal jumping, but my right spacebar is a jump where I hold down crouch at the end of the jump. So I use DKS to set it up, because with Battlefield there's sort of a trick. If you jump, you lose a lot of accuracy, but if you crouch in your jump, then you gain all that accuracy back. So it's a little bit of a hack how you can get more accurate while jumping and avoid all the bullets. But still, I suck at the game, so maybe it doesn't help. But at least it's fun how you can have like 3 additional keys very nearby to your thumb without losing the contact on the WASD keys for movements. That's very cool. I saw something about the Wooting curse, and
the Wooting curse.
Yeah, only affects staff hairlines. I mean, that's the risk, right?
Beginning, right?
If you work at Wooting, you just lose your hairs. That's the price you have to pay. There's nothing to it.
I can't beat age.
No. No. Do we know the pricing of GBP? I mean, I don't dare to say those because it's probably based on the euro price, but I don't know if it's below a certain threshold where taxes.
You can make a calculation. So the way it works on the store is that it will first remove 21% VAT from the euro price. So you take the euro price, you divide it by 1.21. Then you have the euro price excluding taxes. Now, to make it easy for yourself, you can now already convert that euro price to pounds. And then you can do it times 1.20, 20% being your taxes in the UK. Wait, sorry, I'll put the microphone a bit more close. Your tax in UK, and then you get kind of your pounds price, and it will be approximately that price. Because for pounds, we don't have like a fixed price as we have with euros and dollars. It's just the conversion plus a tax adjustment that takes place.
Yeah. Okay, good. Let me quickly.
I like this question.
Do it.
It's not an old one though, but let me just pick this one out. Is there anything you wanted in the 6-stage EV2 but didn't get around to? Yeah, I'm thinking if it is the case, that's why I'm a little bit silent about it, because to be really honest, when we started the 6H V2 development, the concept, I remember the meeting that time was like, hey, we should do the 6HE in a metal case and we should keep it simple. Like, that's what we should just do. That is going to be the next step. And then we can keep the development cycle short so we can focus on like some other things that we need to make sure of with all this growth in the company. Okay. 1 year later. 1 year later, and apparently it kind of like we're just not capable of like leaving it to that. So it ended up being more, okay, we're making metal case. Hey, you know what about the strap stuff? So some people like clean builds, other like strap builds. You know what? We should make this like a removable thing with the clip and make it removable. Okay, let's start adding that. Hey, you know what we've been doing with the fiction fitting? It works pretty well. It's much better for a metal case. We should integrate that also in the V2. Yeah. Let's integrate that as well. Hey, you know what we've been doing with the 8HE with like the silicone pad sandwich in between, but actually if let's cut away the silicone there, we can still control the sound and put them like pour on that. Yeah, we should try that as well. That's also good. And it's like, oh, you know what? We've been trying like a lot of these 60 mods with the PET film on the PCB. Yeah. Okay, let's add that as well. Yeah, that would be better. Yeah, that sounds much. Ooh, that sounds nice. Okay, no, like the switches. The switches. Yeah, we really need to get like our next bump. Okay, like the switches. So it kind of like kept. Kept on like growing in what I wouldn't say it kept like changing a lot along the way as much as that the concept just grew to a point where it's like, okay, this is what we want to see now. We want to make it actual proper upgrade. But I have to say that we already had I have a model in front of me that I think we finished in like March this year or something. We actually have the V2 ready for quite a while, but because of the case, I think it is the case. That's one thing. I think the case is one of the biggest things, and then it's just everything around it, that also needs to be done to get it to a final product. But the case was one of the biggest things that sucked up a lot of development, because we took an approach in which we wanted to learn as much as possible. So in the beginning of development, we first thought, hey, we want to have an anodized case. So we need to do CNCing, but we also need to make sure we get cost controlled so we can reach a $200 price point. So then we went into cold forging. Then we found out with cold forging, it ran into some issues that it didn't really get what we wanted. So we did cold forging plus hot forging. Now, while doing that, we found out also that had some issues. But thankfully, in the meanwhile, while we went through this development, we actually also opened the mold for die casting. Meaning we actually now have a 6H V2 die-cast mold that we're not using at all. And we also opened up the extrusion tooling, which we are using right now for the final one. But then when we opened the die-cast one also with the idea, hey, there is a chance if we use a different aluminum material, we can still anodize the case. So we tried that. Didn't really work out perfectly. It came out pretty funny, to be honest. I have a case somewhere I forgot. It looks really cool. But then we're like, okay, well, with the die casting, we can paint it. Then we got to the ATHE black zinc paint issue. And then we compared that with then we started looking closer at the paint with 6H V2. And then our standard increased significantly. We really did not want to run into a similar issue. Even though we found this like, what is it called? Like e-coating from a vendor that looks very close to anodizing, which is pretty dope. it just couldn't stand the sweat test we created by that time. So that's when we made the final call and said, you know what, we need to take a step. We need to just go back to how we need to go. We need to drop the die casting. We need to drop the hot forging, and we can now only go for the extrusion CNC. The per piece cost for the extrusion CNC used to be the most expensive one. Then it was the cold forging, and then the die casting would be the cheapest. But the cold forging, to make it work out that it was good enough for us, which required also some hot forging. There's a lot to tell here, by the way. But the total cost of doing all of this was matching the cost of just CNCing the case, which kind of defeated the whole purpose. I think that was kind of the biggest. I think that was the biggest struggle we had to deal with to kind of figure out what. I don't know if that was necessarily what took it longest, but that was kind of the biggest thing we had to struggle with. So, then again, if we'd had more time, was there something I wish I could add? The only thing I wish for is that from the very beginning, that we might have well just said, you know what, let's just redo the 6-HE in like a new vision. That's the only thing I could have thought of, because then if we would have done it in a new vision, it would have also opened the door maybe to some new ideas. Otherwise, I'm very happy. I'm really happy with what we've done with the 6-HE V2. It is definitely a full-on upgrade of what the 6-HE is and was. And it has I think if we take the 6-HE, this is everything that we'd want to have to make it fully like a much better keyboard. And there's not I don't feel like there is something necessary. No, yeah, there's one thing I have in mind, but that's still in development. But that's, like the next development already again that we're doing. But otherwise, there's absolutely nothing that I could imagine that's missing on this keyboard. No.
I think
so that was a long.
I think at some point we had a brainstorm with the marketing team, and somebody Max he said like, oh, you know what a good slogan should be? It's a keyboard we modded for you, and it still stuck with me, right? Sure, we didn't modify it, but I think if you compare it especially to the 6-HE Plus, right, this really feels like a higher end mechanical keyboard, feeling and sound wise, and yeah. But that's, of course, I'm biased, right? Who am I to judge? So I'm also looking forward to when people finally get it in their hands, right, and what they think about it and what they say about it, and if we made the right decisions along the way. And I'm quite confident in this product regarding that. Yeah. I saw a question multiple times if we have enough stock, or how much stock do we have of the keyboards and what people can expect. I think if you go for a module or a aluminum version, and you purchase it within the first 2 weeks of the Founders campaign, we have enough stock, right, that we still can do the delivery in December. If you wait longer up until the end of the Founders campaign, or even in December, there's no guarantee, because it's very difficult to guess how many units we will sell. I mean, so far during every Founders campaign, we sold more than we expected, I guess, which is great, right? Fantastic. But we think we have enough. So if you're early in a campaign and you order something, you'll get it in December. And for the plastic version, it doesn't matter if you order it early in the Founders campaign, late in the Founders campaign, or even after the Founders campaign, delivery will be in April. Of course, if you order it during the Founders campaign, you will get some cool perks like the Discord rules, some additional switches, and a cool sticker pack. Yeah. I also see a lot of every stream, right? This like the next big thing. Wooting TMR caller. Wooting TMR when. And it's always a topic I don't really want to go into. And I think in general, if I talk about it, I'll probably butcher it. But I think our general stance is TMR has its benefits, but it's definitely not better than Hall effect. And I think for our keyboards and our purposes, we still kind of follow the Hall effect trend. And TMR is definitely something we keep a close eye on. And I think the biggest benefit of TMR is the lower power consumption. And even that isn't really true.
Yeah. Well, uh, maybe let's say without going into the details of whole sensor versus TMR, and I was thinking, because I've gone through that discussion before. But let's just brass tacks for a moment, is that if you compare whole sensor versus TMR, then you're in practice not going to notice or have any differences. And if you go for a TMR sensor solution, it is most likely best going to be coupled with a wireless device, or with a wireless version at least, because it would have lower battery consumption. Now, in how the TMR sensor also works, the way the sensitivity works is also a bit flipped around, where the start of the press is far more sensitive than the end of the press, as in you can get a higher resolution of sensing, or a higher resolution of detecting differences in the start of the press, but a lot less at the end of the press. But there's actually something far more important to take into consideration, is that in theory, it is kind of possible for us to swap out the whole sensors with a TMR sensor, but it will really not make a huge difference, because in practice, the total solution would still stay the same. So also in terms of power consumption would stay the same. So in order for us to do TMR sensor and then try to get the most benefit out of a TMR sensor, requires quite a mega development cycle. So instead of saying like, okay, let's hop on the TMR hype train, we're saying, okay, it's much smarter to focus on the whole sensor and go deeper into our development cycle, and to actually get more value out of it. Because in the end of the day, when we compare the whole sensor and the TMR sensor, by definition, doesn't necessarily go much further than what a whole sensor goes. It just has fundamentally works a bit different, but the outcome of a TMR sensor is the same. So whatever keyboard you see out there right now with the TMR sensor, when it comes from a performance level, I don't think it's interesting. Maybe if you make the argument, okay, with a TMR sensor, you can place it in a way and get more layout compatibility. I like that argument. You also see some keyboards using TMR sensor for allowing both traditional switch and magnet switches. That could be a good argument as well. There are these benefits of a TMR sensor. But for us, we are just not interested in traditional switches already. So that's something we would really not care about. We only want to make analog keyboards. We don't want to make regular digital keyboards at all. That's in our DNA. It's already from the start. It's always been an analog keyboard. Before we used optical switches, for example. And then for the layout piece is nice, but the layout piece is not good enough to go through the full cycle in this way. Does that mean that we're doing nothing with TMR sensors? No. We are prodding with TMR sensors and kind of finding out how we can leverage it. But then until so far, like, it's not like we throw in TMR sensors and suddenly the performance boost is like 10 times more, 100 times more. It's more something it just doesn't work like that. So yeah, I mean, the TMR sensor thing is just like the new shiny thing that's on the market. If you're doing it for performance, I can tell you right now, it's pointless. If you're doing it because they made something that makes it, for example, more compatibility, like with layouts, or maybe if you really want traditional switches in there, then TMR sensor could be a good option. But TMR sensor just before performance, no, there's no point in making that argument right now, unless it would have been a wireless keyboard. Yeah.
But it's something we definitely keep an eye on, and at some point, I guess at some point we just need to make a better in-depth video from our perspective, what we think of TMR and what the real benefits and downsides is, because there's a lot of information going on, and some of it is right, some of it is incorrect, and some influencer reviews say like, hey, this is the next coming of Christ, right? TMR, and it's a bandwagon you should jump on, but it's not. it's not really the case.
Yeah, maybe
Anyway,
also what maybe a lot of people don't realize also is that 80% or 90% of these keyboards out there, of these other HE keyboards or TMR keyboards, it's all coming from the same, like maybe 3 providers in China. And these are basically engineering companies that create a out-of-the-box solution, off-the-shelf solution, and it's being bought by like 50 different brands, but it's all the same shit. So, you know, it's in their best interest to create a TMR hype, because, you know, then all those brands are going to buy the new solution with the TMR thing, because none of those brands are capable of doing real firmware development, real hardware development, and actually make these improvements themselves, let alone on a keyboard model that is like 3 years old. Can we just take a moment here and realize 60HE is from 2021, and it still is not behind on the market in performance. And we've just been continuously upgrading that keyboard. And that's also because we stick with what we're using, and we make it incrementally better, and we just don't sway into something completely else and then drop everyone else also. It's just,
I think that, okay,
SparkLink.
It's
SparkLink, exactly. That's one of them. Yeah.
I think it's also good to, I saw some questions about the pricing, right? Wow, it's super high, and there's this other, the Fun 60 from, I think, Monsgeek, is it right? Why is that only like $55 and they're exactly the same specs? And if you look at the website, the specs are even better than the 60HE V2, you know, how is that possible? And yeah, there again, Meme says again, at $55, that's the same thing. Why buy a $240 one? I mean, you don't have to buy the Wooting one, and I think for $55 you can beat that Fun 60. So definitely get the Fun 60 one for $55. But you know, but what justifies this $240 price tag? First of all, we can never compete to these prices, right? It's a race to the bottom. We can never win. And something that's very important to us is that we build a sustainable business for the long run. And I guess most of the money goes into investing in higher and better components and our quality control. And, you know, we're very picky on that, and we just want the best for the consumers. And that's always our mindset. Like, if you look at every keyboard, is this something we would buy? And if we're then happy with it, that's always what we ask ourselves. And a lot of things, you know, it's also constant improving on development, software, firmware, and we even, well, we always try to, you know, support our keyboards for the longest time. And even the Wooting one recently got another update in the utility, and there's no need for us to do it, right? And we pride ourselves in having a 4-year warranty and sort of a friendship for life. And I think that's just the price tag you pay for it, right? Just a little bit higher quality components, maybe a little bit better service, and a reliable keyboard where you know that you get the latest and best features out there. And it's also fun because whatever the Fun keyboard does, the Fun 60, I bet you it's gonna be a very good whole fact keyboard, at least for the first few months, right? And maybe then there will be like a little less performance there, but it's barely noticeable. And whatever new feature we come up with, the Fun 60 makes it as well, probably in a few months later, because they copy everything from us anyway, even the DKS icons. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But
I mean,
yeah.
it's in the end also just the business model. So now imagine. So maybe we should do this simulation. We're gonna change Wooting. We're also gonna make $60 keyboards. I have absolutely no idea how they can do $60 keyboards. To be honest, it's also quite quite amazing how the hell that's possible. But we also know about a lot of, let's say, sneaky ways and cheaper ways of doing things in China, in terms of opening molds and you know, using molds from others and avoiding taxes. getting materials also from somewhere else, and then also working with lower grade manufacturers. But let's say, okay, we do all this, we can make $60 keyboards. Awesome. Okay, if we would have done this from the very beginning, right, then right now you would have also had no rapid trigger. You would have no analog keyboard. HE concept would not exist. It would just not be there. There would be no rapid trigger. There would be no DKS. There would be no adjustable activation point to the point where it is right now. All of this stuff would just not be there, because you know why? We don't have the money to spend that amount of time to think about this and take such a long time on a product. Just give us your fucking money so we can earn our 10% margin on our product, so we can poop out more products and sell volume.
Whoa, 10%, 10% on a $6 keyboard is quite nice. I mean, I could see a strategy
here.
What I'm just
saying is that, yeah, I'm just saying that that is kind of where, it's a business model. And it is like, I don't know, both can exist, both things can exist, right? The $60 one is there for the people that don't have the budget to pay for the higher price tag, but still want to have the same or similar experience. But there's also a piece of like, okay, but if we'd only have $60 keyboards, if we'd only have people doing that specific business model, there would also just be no progress. Is my connection lost?
No, it's there. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. But I mean, there would be just no progress in development at all, because who's going to be the only people who's going to be wanting to spend or invest into this direction and try new things? I think you're gonna.
You know what's very interesting?
Not happen.
That happened on Gamescom. So there was this person who had a Keychron. I don't know exactly what Keychron, but it was a Hall effect Keychron. And he said like his friend had a Wooting keyboard. And his friend always said like, yeah, Wooting is better. And he didn't know because he never touched his keyboard from his friend. So he went to the Wooting booth to just check it out. And he tried it and he couldn't believe what a night and day difference it was compared to what he had at home, his Keychron keyboard versus our keyboard, only when it comes to the sensitivity of the keys and the sensitivity of the rapid trigger. And this is very simple for me to say, right? And yes, of course, I'm biased, right? And I can imagine that with a cheaper keyboard, it's also can be quite similar. And I mean, even if we look at sort of the social proof, right? Why do a lot of pro players prefer Wooting over any other brand? It's not that we pay them money. We just give them the keyboard and we don't pay them money, pro players, which is interesting, right? And they just do it because they want to get the most reliable tool out there. And I do think we are very good at that, making reliable products. Yeah.
I honestly don't know. Aula Win 60 is 40 euros. I have absolutely no idea how that is a thing, how that is possible. If somebody can please tell me how this works.
So, I mean, another strategy, of course, is also having a loss leader, right? And I can imagine that some of these brands, they are just manufacturers of these keyboards, right? So they just make a cheap version because they have the components anyway and the technology in there. And then they resell that to other vendors, right? And make keyboards for them. And that's how they make money. Even what was it again? The Mad Lions, for example, that was $30 at some point. Of course, in China, right? If you get it in Europe, you still have to pay some taxes and import things, but that's still very minimal. And that is just physically, I mean, it's even if we 10 times our quantity, our manufacturers still say like, nah, you can never make the keyboard under $30. Yeah. And that's fine, right? I guess I'm very comfortable and very happy with the products we offer versus the pricings. And one thing that, I don't know, that's I'm just very happy with it. And
it's funny, at Gamescom, we the Aula booth was not too far away from our booth, right? Yeah, so you would have some customers come to us at the Wooting booth, and they would come to us because the sales pitch from Aula was, it's like a Wooting keyboard, but cheaper.
Yeah.
There are the Wooting guys.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Anyway, I think the point is being made, and I'm not gonna lie. It's not like we have really shitty margins on our product, right? But obviously, we put the margins on our product because we need that to do everything that we're doing. And those other parts are always going to exist. It's just a different business model. It's something that we just have to live with, but it also attracts different type of customers. And in the end, we just, or at least, I know that what we just really want is just to have I should put it differently. We just want to do what we do, enjoy what we do, and make that and keep that a sustainable business, and do that with the people that we do it with, and just have fun at it, and do that also in a way that the customers that we do attract, also join that mindset, also enjoy the product, and also believe in what we believe, and that makes it also a lot more fun for us. So in terms of also of our ambitions have always been very simple. It's always been about doing what we do and enjoy what we do, and just every time it gets a little bit bigger than what we did before. So don't forget, I mean, we're around already for 10 years, right? We've only grown a lot more in the last 4 years. And the first 6 years, it was just, we're still doing the same as what we did in the first 6 years. It's just every time we just get a little bit better at what we do, and we're just keeping on doing it. And this is how we do it.
Except now we don't eat dry bread after 6 years.
Yeah.
So this here's a very interesting question, and this is also where I want to end it. How much percentage money goes to R&D? And I wouldn't even know. I mean, do we have an R&D budget? I mean, the thing is like, there's like this pile of money, and just use it to invent cool things, right? And a lot of things that we're still spending a lot of time and money and effort on is the knobs, for example, making that.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends on the thing is, we don't have like a department that is specifically R&D, but then, and it also depends on how you define it. But then when you look at how we do product development overall, we always try to find something new to do and to approach. And that essentially, that new thing that we do is R&D. It's just not that we're inventing, like, I don't know, how would I put this? Whenever I hear R&D, I'm just always thinking about some kind of new method of producing something, or some kind of completely new solution technology item. But I have to be honest, on the level that we work, the R&D piece is about, there's a big figuring out problems. And that can happen a lot on the software side, but also then on the electronic side. But then when it comes to technology, for example, Hall sensors is something that just exists. And for us, it's not like we invent Hall sensors or something like that. But we do take items that exist, and then morph that into something that we believe can solve the problem that we're trying to solve. And as we're now bigger, like before when we're smaller, we can only do whatever our budget allows us to do, which was very, very limited in terms of exploration and trying things. And we had to be pretty certain about if it was going to be marketable or not. Yet, I should say, pretty differently, also a limit of how much we could really practically do in terms of budget in general. So we would focus on just one thing and just keep it to that one thing. But now that we're a lot bigger, we have more people on the team, it allows us to now expand this exploration. So what I was mentioning before about 6HEV2, doing these metal cases, we spent money on 3 different methods of manufacturing this, just to do an exploration, to better understand it, And we threw away a bunch of money basically on the 2 ways that we didn't do it. Now, how do you consider R&D, right? This is R&D. Just as much as when we look at the knobs, for example, the 4-unit knob and the 1-unit knob, it's something that we've been trying to build already for like the last 2 years or a little bit more. And am I still around?
Yeah, you're still around. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been something we've been developing for the last 2 years, and it's just been trial and error the whole time. Trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. But it's not like we invented a whole new technology around it. We just used the technology that we have at hand and just came up with good ways of solving it. But it's been a lot of trial and error, and that is also a piece of R&D. But then to say like we have a department of R&D and that has this amount of budget, I find that very hard to say, because we work from project to project and every project has a certain vision and we try to meet that vision, and whatever that means in terms of what we don't have and we do need is what we try to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have an actual R&D department, right? Where we invent things and then patent it and then see how we can maybe use that in future products, because that's how big companies do. But the thing is, I also like us being the flexibility we have. That means that we can quickly steer, follow trends, and not be lacking behind the market on a few years because of all this, right? Because in the end, we just want to make cool, innovating products in a way that we like to work. And yeah. Anyway, back to the 6-digit V2, because that should be the star of this show.
Well, I think this is a good question, though, like a good comment, though, or a good question. Why we seem to be so focused on build quality, like sound dampening, metal case, something that OEMs can easily compete with, and software doesn't seem that much of a focus anymore. And that's a very good insight that you have, as in from your side, because you don't see what's happening on our side. I think that's a very good comment to make, because when we talk about creating unique IP at Wooting, the best way we can build it is with software, because that's the most difficult one. In a way, it's the most difficult one to compete with, because it needs a lot of love and attention and maintenance, especially maintenance. And it takes a while to get really good user experience also. And on the software level, we have some really great brains on our software side that can come up with really creative solutions to problems. Lost focus on this.
Oh, there he is. You were gone for 1 minute, 10 seconds.
Oh.
But you're back. No worries.
Was it gone? Oh, okay.
You said we had some brilliant people. We had brilliant people working on software. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but let's see. So this is exactly right. And we actually also see it this way, is that with software, we can create the most IP. But I think you have limited the scope of expectations of what software means. So actually going to our website and the entire experience from start up until and including what the keyboard, all of that is also software. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. And that's also a piece where we're getting fundamentally better and better at. And we are investing in quite a lot in terms of our software, let's say software department, right? We have quite an increasing amount of developers. I think it's now, we should count them, but is it more than what we have on product development right now?
You know what? I'm going to quickly check.
It's going to count in the meanwhile.
2, 3. Let me check.
Simon is indeed Simon is the god. Just to take every person. Yeah, software team is 17. Oh crap! So that's more than we have in product development. If I quickly think about it, let's say that. Let's see. Okay, we have some other people on the team also that also have some, right, our enthusiast players in software, the enthusiast players for different games themselves as well. And they are also actively inputting on things that we should be building or should be doing. But the reality with software also, a lot of times, good implementation takes time. But we are still very focused on software. Yeah, and like I said, it's not just the utility, it's also what happens on the keyboard, but it's also what happens on the website and the whole experience from start to end. So I wouldn't say that is gone or lost on us, and we do invest quite a lot into it. But then why do you see so much more focus on hardware? Is because that's one of the weakest pieces that we've had, is specifically doing, I wouldn't say that we've always been far behind or something, especially compared to like Razer. But it's the one thing that we feel like, hey, we can do a much better job. And in fact, what I'm trying to do now as well is invest a little bit more if we can create unique IP by creating unique hardware solutions. So the sort of one unit knob, the small knob, and the big knob or large knob, small knob, large knob, is an example of this. It's an example of making some unique hardware. Though, yes, most of the unique IP of that product sits in the software that comes with it. Like, as in, not comes with it, the software solution to make it work. But there are also some other parts. There is something else that I'm working on with Kevin. And that's going to make a huge improvement on a certain part of the keyboard that is going to be new. And I can't necessarily protect it, but it will be something that we will have uniquely for us because we own the molds. And a lot of other parties, if they would join into this, how would I put it? That we need to make that same investment or use a shared one. I don't know how else to put it. But let me just say, let me just rephrase that for a moment, is at the same time, I am trying to invest more in making unique hardware. Whereas with a lot of keyboards on the market, like take the keycaps, for example, is all from shared molds. These are molds which poop out keycaps for 50 different brands, right? It's all the same. One of the reasons also why you see a lot of the die subbing type of keycaps in the market is because it will probably come all from a same or similar vendor that does the PBT keycap themselves, and then maybe different vendors doing the die subbing. But it's also one of the only ways how you can distinguish yourself apart from all the other keycaps out there, because all those other double shot keycaps out there are all coming from the same keycap manufacturer, because it's so expensive to invest in those keycap molds. So if you look closely at double shot keycaps, you can recognize them and find out that it's the same keycap mold coming from the same manufacturer used on many different keyboards. And that's something I don't want to see on Wooting keyboards, because I want to make sure that we, as much as we can, create a unique product that all our thoughts of what we think we can do better are in there. And now with our status right now, we have a lot more money we can invest into things like a very expensive keycap mold if we wanted to.
Okay. Let me just get my mic a little bit better, because this is important, right, Calder? This is the voice of the community, the song of the people. And Doc, CYD, can you do a small project like the Uwu? Sure, we can. What's your idea? That's just a level-less fighting game controller. Fighting game peripherals are hilariously out of date. I like that idea. Let's explore it.
I think I'm kind of allowed to say that we actually kicked off a concept for that exact device last year. But we didn't go through with it because I felt like we were not ready to go through the amount of development required for it. And it was better for us to focus our attention on something
the V2,
more
for
fundamental,
example,
like a 6-stage V2. Yeah.
But I love the idea.
But I gotta say, I do think, yeah. Yeah, when to pick it up again. Yeah.
It's always so. I'm a big fighting game fan. I can't play the games, but I like watching the esports, and I think it's very interesting, the whole levelless arcade thing. Because on one hand, you would say like, oh, Wooting would be like a very nice fit there, because just make a speedy, good, reliable device what is needed there, right? And I mean, you're saying out of dated. It's also totally not out of dated, right? They just have their tools that work for them, and they're fantastic already. Like I think. Hitbox, very cool brand, right? They make like these very sturdy devices, and these will be fantastic in still 7 or 8 years in the future, and will work very reliable. And I even think, you know, that little bit of input speed you can get there doesn't really matter that much, because people have so much muscle memories, right? And most of the games they kept at 60 hertz anyway, so in the end there isn't that much we can really contribute to the market. But I really like the idea of just having, because indeed it feels like the UWU, right? You make a device specifically for a very specific application, and that's something that really excites me, because that gives you a lot of focus in product development and marketing and everything around it. And yeah, so I think making the device is actually more exciting for me than having it out there in the world. And yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying making the device is just like I probably wouldn't contribute anything to it. It's like totally
Yeah, you know what it is? Like I really wish we could do some of these things at the same time. I think there's more on the table of things that we could be doing, but it's very difficult to choose like the right thing to do. Yeah, the only way that we're able to start doing more in the future is if we can get, well, I like to think if we are able to get the formula right in product development. Yeah. So right now, I would say that the way we've been developing products, there's a certain style of development that we have that makes things take longer, very often can be in a good way. Just thinking for a moment. Well, there's a lot of room for improvement. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of room for improvement. And I kind of always see it kind of like finding the right formula. And once we get the right formula, then means that we can scale it up. Means I can create, we have one team who's applying the formula really well. And then I can just to another team. And now it's still very, very dependent on certain individuals and certain contributions to make things work. But if you get the formula right, I think we can scale it a bit more, and then we're capable of building out more, a bigger product development team, and we can do more at the same time. Right?
Yeah. And this sort of sums it up together quite nicely, right? Eric, use your founder power and veto in a new quality we now have in our products, right? And I threw color away so we can now talk plainly about full-size keyboards. So what do we want to see in this full-size keyboard? Now, let's first focus on the 6HE V2 Founders campaign, because that's the most exciting thing. And if people have questions about that, Calder's still here, so we can now answer those questions.
I lost your voice for a moment there.
That's fine. You didn't miss anything.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but this is 6HE V2 Founders campaign, and also I think something that's very different compared to the past, because in the past, whether it was like the crowdfunding campaigns on Kickstarter or the previous Founders campaigns on our website, we always showed like, oh, numbers goes up, right? Oh, this is the amount of money we've raised, this is the amount of units we've sold, and we thought like, hey, let's do it a little bit differently, and we had a original other thing in mind where we showed like batches and how much is left, and then we kind of realized that's also very complex, because there's so many different versions, And some versions are part of batch 2, other one of batch 3, other one of batch 4. These are batch 1, right? And it's very tricky, difficult to say like, hey, you know, we still have so many units left in batch 1, and then all of a sudden, if you order your thing, it's like, why do I have to wait until February? That sucks. And so now we are going to tone it back really, and we're not going to show any big numbers. But one thing that we do are going to show how much percentage a split versus regular keyboards have been sold. And that's very interesting because I'm hoping it will be more splits. I think we can make the world better with more split keyboards out there, and but we'll see. So it's also a different way, and we haven't really discussed this internally, but after the founders campaign, I would like to share all the numbers we sold during the campaign, because it is, you know, a sort of feeling of being part of it. And yeah.
I'm very hopeful for the split spacebar. I really hope it does well and people like it, because then we can also, well, actually maybe I'm not too happy about that, but I wanted to say then we can also start using it for our other layouts, and start implementing a lot more split spacebar into our keyboards as a default. The reason why I just mentioned the thing earlier is because a split spacebar means like we need to duplicate all the SKUs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then, unless we make it cross-compatible. So,
yeah. I mean, so the thing with split spacebars, I really believe there are a lot of benefits, especially for gaming, because you have like more keys at your thumb, right, in your thumb position. But it's also a little bit annoying because if you are into modifying keyboards, right, and for example, you just want to get like the module, it still fits in any case, 60% case, but not every keycap set will be compatible. And that's kind of annoying. And the thing is that the more the higher end keycap sets, they most of the time have like an upgrade kit that you can get to support the split spacebar, and even like the mid-range ones. But most of the time, the budget versions don't really have that. So that's also kind of sucky. And hopefully, right, if we've seen what happened with the strap, right, maybe a lot more vendors will start introducing a split version, and that in terms will mean that there will be more keycap options available as well, right, with splits in mind. So who knows where the future goes, but yeah.
I think in either case, you can keep the same split spacebar keycaps on there if you do other key sets.
Yeah,
and
but
otherwise, like I mentioned, the shift thing. But yeah, but still. But maybe I should kind of boost some confidence in making the choice of split spacebar. One of the reasons why the split spacebar is not cross-compatible with the full spacebar is because we actually have the split spacebar has two different sizes. If we would have done like an equal sizing on the split spacebar, it would have allowed us to do like a button in the middle and equal size space bars, and then the total being 6.25, for example. But that would cause two issues. One is that these two key sizes would be relatively unique, hard to find anything else. So it would not be also compatible with the other shifts. But the biggest thing for me is that if you want to get used to split spacebar, the spacebar has to surpass the V key. If it doesn't surpass the V key, you're not going to get used to it as fast, and you're not going to find it that comfortable with gaming, because your thumb utility usually goes up until the V key before you start exiting off the spacebar, and it's still making it easy accessible for this key. So if you do like equal key size, it like sits really awkwardly in the middle of the V, and it'll be on the edge of the spacebar the whole time with your thumb, which is not nice. But now, because of this sizing and this design choice, you can also get used to split spacebar really, really fast. I mean, everybody's a little bit different, but I think for everyone within an hour, at the very most, you've adapted already. There's only very often a very small change you might need to make in your typing. that you notice, oh shit, I actually tried to hit it in the middle, but you adapt really quickly.
That's something that surprised me as well, because I thought it would be a little bit annoying to get used to, but I also noticed that I always hit my spacebar on the left side if I used it as a space, so it just felt a little bit more pleasant because it's less heavy, which sounds kind of weird because if you have like a long spacebar and you hit it all the way at the edge, there is always like this sort of leverage thing that you also have to push down, and with a shorter spacebar it's less, and that's it's just quite nice in general. I saw some questions like, yes, ISO version also available for the for the founders campaign, Jesus, and all keycaps, the PBT keycaps at least, the white and the black ones, all have split spacebar inside. Yeah, so that's nice.
Oh, somebody removed the left part of the spacebar so they can hit the X and C key easier with their thumb. That's a very interesting use case. I like that. But then I assume then you put something else on that same key still, like a single key so you would still have that key available to you. Like you just see one unit key on there. And this other one, this guy was asking on the 6HE V1, he would have a microphone nearby. Some keys would start to press automatically.
Then you have a
he
very
has to keep electronic device away from the Wooting.
They have a very strong microphone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
I know that there's this issue, right,
so
with the desks, and it's a little bit complicated, right? So
metal desks.
Yeah, you have this desk from a secret lab, the Magnus Pro, I think, and some keyboards react to that, where if they place the keyboard in a certain spot of the desk, you get like interference, and that's not so good, right? And it's kind of tricky because some people don't have any issues, other people do. But if you have like a very rough guesstimate internally, it's probably because somebody had like a magnet on that desk that really pulled a lot of magnetic things in that desk. And then if you put like the keyboard over it, even though if you remove the magnet, it's probably still magnetically charged, let's say very crudely, and that could interfere with your keyboard. But one thing that's very cool, I think the new desk from Secret Lab, it's called like the Magnus Evo, that only has like this magnetic cable thing on the sides of the desk. So that should, in theory, solve all the issues. But yeah,
in general, there are just two things. I think the first about your microphone is that every electronic device is able to create a electromagnetic field around it, and then interfere with other electronic devices. In this case, with the Hall sensors, especially if you have a very sensitive setting, it will be more susceptible to this. But I don't know where you get your microphone from. I don't know what brand of the microphone, but it needs to be quite out of spec for CE certification, for example, to be having that kind of influence. So not sure what's happening there.
I can imagine maybe a capacitor inside or something is funky, right? And maybe it pulls a lot of voltage or creates something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But then, and then the other parts, what Erik is saying basically, is that, if you have, what can happen with a metal object, if you put a magnet on a metal object for a while, it will start to channel these magnetic waves after a while, as it charges over time, But then that is a very rare kind of situation though, and usually you just need to create like a few millimeters distance, and it's no problem. It's just the fact that the keyboard is like if it's directly on this case a metal table, for example, it could cause an issue. Well, you got your microphone from Rode. Okay, well, that's very interesting. Yeah, I've not heard of this before. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that it's not impossible. So,
I think
especially if you put it on if you put it something, so if you put it if you put the settings very, very sensitive, you should imagine the way it works is that if you would like a 0.1 millimeter activation point, then the whole key, when it's reading the key, it has a certain voltage, and a very little voltage change, it can be equal to a 0.1 millimeter change in the key. So it's hard to distinguish, right? Was the key moving, or was something else influencing the voltage change? And then if you have a strong electromagnetic field nearby, it can influence the voltage change, and then it will see it as a key press. But if you put the sensitivity lower, then you need a much bigger voltage change to take place in order to have that happen. So just the nature of having something very, very sensitive as well.
I had seen it once where someone had like a very big subwoofer under their desk, and that also interfered with the keyboard if they had like it at 0.1 millimeters, because there's like a big magnet in that subwoofer, especially. So
Right.
that's the thing with Hall effect keyboards, right? Where we're dependent on reading magnetic signals, and if there's too much interference, then there's only so much a keyboard can filter out, right, before it starts to act up. But with a Rode mic,
especially if you want to have a very sensitive setting, it's not like how would I put this? If you put something in a very, very sensitive setting, means equally so that it's also very, very sensitive to external influences, because it's not just about physical movement; it's about change in the voltage that takes place.
Yeah.
And then, Doc CID said, if there's a reason to avoid pogo pins? Actually, not necessarily. With good pogo pins, even with AK polling, with the good pogo pins should not be like a major issue. But one of the reasons why pogo pins have been avoided for now is because there's a little bit of a fear that if it does oxidate slightly on the surface, then it will start to influence things. So for some devices, it might be always just good enough for the connection, but with our device, similar to the voltage story, you just need some kind of influence, and it can make a change, and that will impact it negatively. So it's a reliability issue with pogo pins. But you definitely have pogo pins from manufacturers that are really reliable and used in aerospace, for example.
Aerospace.
But we've just never got to the point where we 100% went for a pogo pin design to do something. So
good. Anyway, any final questions for the Founders campaign before we throw it live next Thursday? Military grade pogo pins, yeah. So I don't know about you, Calder, but for me, it doesn't matter whatever campaign we did, whether it was for the Wooting one, the 6HE or the UWU or the 8HE or the Wooting 2, doesn't matter. Always, sort of now is sort of the time where we start selling it or pre-selling it for a period. Always like the day before, and especially the morning and the afternoon before we hit live, I'm always like, who the fuck buys this? Who the fuck buys this, right? Are we even gonna sell 100 of these units? Is it do people really want this? And it's always this.
Yeah.
And then you hit the buttons live, and then you think like, okay, now it happened. Okay, why is nobody purchasing it? Why is nobody purchasing it? Why is nobody purchasing it? And then we're 2 minutes in. Is the store working? Check it out. And then, of course, people want to check it out and do things before they purchase. But always like that. It's so anxious for me, at least, because there's like a moment where everything comes together and it becomes real or something. And then after the first 24 hours, you can sort of see the sales numbers. Like, okay, this is fine. It's going well, going good. And then the next step always is like, okay, now we're gonna go delivery, and that's always where I almost piss my pants, because it's like, oh, the keyboards have left the warehouse. People will get it tomorrow morning or the day after or that day after. It's like, constantly checking Discord. Oh, what's going on? You know, do people like it? Did we make a good choice? And that's always yeah. I think that's a feeling that will never go away with whatever product we make.
Yeah, I feel you on the when it's in the when we're launching to kind of gauge what the response is, right? But then I know every time we've launched something, I just try to not think too much about it and just see what happens. It's very, really hard to fathom how there can be so many different people. And how this is, you know, how this is just going into play in general, like the amount of keyboards that we manufacture and what goes and what ships around. And then with these campaigns, how many people end up joining the campaign, it's just really hard to fathom already. So I think I remember when we did our first Kickstarter with the Wooting 1 that time, that was 800 people in total. And that was already huge.
Huge, was insane.
Yeah, and it was more than enough to do our project. And then I think most of the time after that was like it maybe raised to like 1,000 and a bit. And it's just insane to imagine that right now 1,000, yeah, right now 800, 1,000 is now the same number as what it used to be when we did like 100 or 10 or something, depending on the product, which is insane, which is really hard to imagine. It's really hard to fathom sometimes. Yeah.
So we have a warehouse in Netherlands and in the US, and a while ago when I was in the Netherlands, I visited the warehouse, and then you see like, oh, here's like a nice, you know, rack of Wooting keyboards. Oh, here's another pallet. Oh, there's a storage on the other side as well. Like, oh, those are all Wooting keyboards? What the fuck? Yeah, it's sometimes crazy to imagine, because we don't have a physical office, right? Well, in general, in Taiwan we have a physical office, but you know, we don't really see the logistical part of our keyboards and how many keyboard actually is, and the space it takes up. And yeah, that's always you know what will always stick with me. So this wasn't during a campaign, but before it, with the ATHE, right? So we announced it on I think the 30th of December. We showed like the layout, and then people were like sort of mad, right, with the arrow keys, how much it sucked, and that we had to move it. And you know, we made a big mistake with this layout not being a TKL. And at that point we said like, okay, you know, we're just gonna let them cook in the weekend, the community members and the voices, and we'll read it next Monday, and then we, you know, we'll see what we do then. But the crazy part was my son got born during that weekend, so I was like completely sleep deprived, right? And I wasn't working at the time as well, like the 2 weeks after, and I you know, I couldn't focus on work, and I couldn't be part of this discussion. So I didn't also know what was being
after the layout.
Yeah, so
that was quite stressful.
Yeah, so I wasn't part of that discussion, right? And I didn't exactly know what was going on internally. The only thing I read like on Discord, I read it like how ass it was, and I couldn't do anything for it because I was focusing on, you know, my son and everything, and then this change of life and sleep deprived. It was like a whole crazy time, like, oh, what the fuck are we doing? You know, and yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. But I think everybody internally handled it pretty well, and the solution we came up with was very, very good. Yeah.
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 Oh, DocCID, shut up. There is no universal TKL layout.
It's only no. Okay, good.
Oh, maybe just to give one boost of confidence is that we prepared with the 6-stage HEV2. I'm quite confident that we prepared good quantities, and that we'll be able to ship quite a bit in December, and then going into January, and then going to February, like it. Yeah. Well, I'm not. Yeah, it depends on what to expect though. But we've prepared.
I think
Yeah,
at least
so-
at least everything that's planned and the productions that are planned in the near future, I think we will reach a point where we have an in-stock date sooner rather than later compared to our other products, and that's also something.
Oh, that's
good.
for sure.
Yeah. Oh well, good. Let's end it here. Bye, everybody. No, it's really. I'm looking forward to it. Next Thursday, 3 in the afternoon European time, 7 in the morning US time. I think that's what mid US Los Angeles time, 7 in the morning, and then 10 in the evening Taiwan time. So be ready behind your
Winter time is
computer.
also coming in the US, huh?
Oh, really? Is that a thing? Yeah. Okay, horrible. I still, it's horrible that the clock changed.
Yeah, apparently a week after the Netherlands or something.
Okay, then that will maybe change. Then we have to double check our times. Anyway, be sure to be behind your computer or mobile phone at that time. Have your credit card and wallet ready because you don't want to miss this. Good. That's it. Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend and happy Halloween, huh? Woo!